Hey everybody, welcome back to X's4 Podcast. This is the Daily X, where we bring you news, interviews, and discussions about your favorite comics, the X-Men, and the Marvel Universe at large. I'm Nico, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nico Action. That's NicoAction. And today I am so excited to talk to you guys about this book discussion. Our team had been covering the Curse of the Man-Thing saga since the first issue of the 3 parts that have come out under Steve Orlando's reimagining of the character, and we had no idea it was going to be so much fun when we sat down to it. Now, I had such a good time editing their earlier segments that when it came time for this third segment on the X-Men, I had to join. So I found myself in a room with Rod, Raven, and Robbie, and the 4 of us couldn't stop raving about the work Steve Orlando and Andrea Braccardo did on this title. It reimagined Man-Thing, and it didn't just reimagine Man-Thing, but it also took Magic and her Dark Riders, and it brought them to a really interesting new place where Magic can be that character that shows up and represents the X-Men at large. I think it's a really cool move. Steve Orlando and Andrea Braccardo really knocked it out of the park, and Rod, Raven, and Robbie, as always, were so incredible discussing it. If you guys like it as much as I did, I hope you guys drop a review and subscribe. We'll catch you on the other side.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next segment of X's for Podcast. I am Rod. You can find me at Rod, the on Twitter and Instagram. And today we have with us the Ravenous Raven.
Ooh, hello, darlings. How do you do? It's me, Raven, aka Dame Red Bento. Go ahead and type that in, DameRedBento. You can find me all over Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of good stuff. Also with us today, we have Robbie. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Hey everyone, I'm Robbie, and you can find me at Age of Polaris. And with us, we have the cute Nico.
Hey everybody, I'm Nico, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nico Action. That's NicoAction, where evidently you can find me being cute.
Well, it's true.
And that brings us to the last part of this cute mini event. Well, kind of cute, I guess. It's really crazy. Curse of the Man-Thing, Part 3. Featuring the X-Men on Krakoa. The writer is Steve Orlando. Artist is Andrea Braccardo. Colorist is Guru EFX. And letterer is VC's Clayton Cowles.
Yay.
Yay! Now we are starting on chapter 7 of this glorious journey. It's Devils in Dark Rooms. Mm-hmm. Now, last time we left Man-Thing, or left the story in general, he is, doing his little dark demon ritual again. And then we see Ileana Rasputin, aka Magic. Mm-hmm. And I like how this little mini event kind of just goes right back where we left off. It doesn't just kind of go somewhere else and then go back there. It's like a continuation. So when you get this in a trade, it's going to be a smooth read.
Yeah, definitely. I noticed that.
I only read this because I loved your guys' coverage of it so much. I was gonna read it, and then I wasn't gonna read it, and then I was editing your guys' coverage, and I was like, "Nah, I want to read this. I do. This sounds so fun." And I'd forgotten that it was gonna cross multiple titles, and I tried to just read this one. I tried to just read this one for this episode, and it was issue 3, part 7, and Magic was like, "You guys remember what just happened?" And I was like, "I do not." So I went back and I read the other 2. And it was a silly, weird, fun romp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would exactly say that. It was fun going with the Avengers and then Spider-Man. And now we have going with the X-Men. I mean, X-Men should be last or the better of the 3. That's true.
And alphabetically, if nothing else, it went Avengers, Spider-Man, X-Men, which I appreciate for my spreadsheets when I'm listing things out. Just saying.
I just noticed that. That's a good call. Good job, Marvel, on also aspects.
Honestly, I thought this was going to be a New Mutant tie-in because of who they brought in, because they brought in Magic and her Dark Riders. So I was like, aren't those all New Mutant people? I'm not mad. I mean, if they want to do another crossover that then also ties into New Mutants, I'm totally cool with that. Like, what? But still, I loved this issue. So good.
I was fascinated by the use of X-Men to refer to the line of product as opposed to an individual set of characters, because in many ways, I do think Magic's name bears a fruitful caveat. When you hear Magic is on something, it's not just an X-Man, it's kind of, in many ways, the most significant push they've put behind a character since perhaps Deadpool. I think Magic has stumbled onto something that we saw them try to capture with Laura, who is perfect, so it's not like anybody saying, shut about Laura, but, I do understand that she did not capture the cultural zeitgeist in perhaps the way that I was hoping. I don't have 1,000 Laura t-shirts, as many Deadpool t-shirts as I have, right? So I feel like I really would have liked if it was like Magic and her Dark Riders on the cover a little bit more than X-Men. I do know that introducing the Dark Riders made it. Good for Forearm, having a purpose.
Yay.
His name is a very obvious pun, right? Like,
oh, it's very obvious.
if his name was Three Arm, we'd all be like, Duh. If his name was Six Skin, we'd be like, right? But like, his name is Forearm.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they go. Well, I mean, we haven't really got to him yet, but at least on the cover, they go with his classic look of the forearmness. I mean, I did like the way he looked in the recent Sword issue. He looked very daddy, very like, daddy that has money, but also forearms, but also like a bouncer.
This one, he looks like a wrestler. Money as he's got arms.
This one is very more. He looks younger. He's shaved. He looks like a wrestler. He's about to throw down.
Oh my god! When he makes it rain, it's actually dangerous.
Oh man! Make it rain, make it hail, whatever you want to do.
Many arms.
4 times as much deodorant, hopefully.
Oh, I would hope so. I mean, he's a Dark Rider, though. Do you think they really care about deodorant? I mean, they're all like...
Robbie, evil mutant hygiene. What do you think?
Oh, God. It depends. I think it depends. Like, I think there are some mutants who try, but you also, okay, you gotta think, like, if they're in a different dimension, what if they run out? Like, what if these Dark Riders run out?
I think all dimensions have a sense of smell. You should just carry it on your bag,
Okay, but I don't think it exists in like the negative zone. I don't know. Does it?
I'm kind of with Robbie on this. Hold up, like the Lotus Vial from those issues of Hellions that were super spectacular, from the Ten of Swords crossover. You had the Lotus Vial, who I became obsessed with in an instant, and I think they're ranked like, oh yes, you smell of corpse. You must be very famous. Like, I mean, like I imagine they think bad smells am good, Bizarro. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
True.
There are probably some dimensions where they're like, Forearm, you've never used deodorant. You're our king now.
I mean,
and then also you got to think about certain characters. Like, they probably need like stronger deodorant. Like, for example, Shark Girl. Probably like Shark Girl probably needs like
talk about smelling like fish all the time.
Mammomax. He's a fucking elephant.
Mammomax is sacred.
And he vomits stomach acid.
So hot.
I'm just like, I'm not into the Roman showers. Sorry.
Get it, big fuck. Get it.
So we go on from Magic Scene something. Oh, Man Thing. Shit. We go back from.
Meanwhile, I'm over here like, I wonder what other mutants have like gross body odor problems. I cannot imagine what the fuck was going on with Black Tom Cassidy during that tree phase.
Oh no.
Like, did he just smell like maple syrup all the fucking time?
Oh, but that's a good smell.
Right?
If he smells like maple syrup, great. If he smells like durian, on the other hand, ooh, not so much.
You just, every time you go up to him and you're like, why do you smell like Datura? I'm hallucinating now. Oh no.
That would be kind of fun, though. I mean, if you're out Krakoa, you're partying anyway. So, and then if you die from it, you get reborn. So it's fine.
12 people all lining up to smoke the shit out of Black Tom's ass. I completely get it.
I died with him in me.
Ugh. Your lungs?
That's an experience.
That's a very different black lung. Oh, God.
Maybe that's why Juggernaut wants to come back to Krakoa. He missed Black Tom inside of him. Anyway, so we're going to move on to Horror going. She can't get through the gateway that her 2 other auntie people went through. And
poor Horror.
She gets denied so much. She is so hurt. That poor white girl with magic can't do exactly what she wants, but she starts, shaming the old people again, and it's fine.
I swear to God, if this was not social commentary on white female fragility and crying over absolutely nothing when a minor inconvenience is put in your way, I don't know what is.
Well, and there's a math to it, you know what I mean? And this was something that I was trying to explain to a friend recently, like harmlessly, because we all have that friend that's like, "No, I'm awokened," and I'm like, "Okay, have a good day." But
Ugh.
they were trying to be like, I can't figure out why it is that like everybody says white guys are the most resistant to change. Well, here's what it is: white straight men traditionally had everything, and
Mhm.
so when somebody else gets an opportunity, it pretty much has to come from their pocket. But that's what you get for hoarding all the opportunity. Now you have to share it equally. It is not something being taken from straight white men, but rather something being restored in balance to other groups. And I think when traditionally, we're going to go with white women of power. Right now, in the real
Mm.
world, it might be wealth or it might be social significance through influence, that kind of thing. But white women of power, white turfs are the problem, right? So
Mm.
we have this sort of opportunity to take a look at a representation on this, grandiose scale, because we're looking at a book where there's a lot of minorities in a very direct way. We're looking at a book where there's a lot of street level characters in a very direct way. And the crux of it is that our hero ultimately made a deal with the devil. Our straight laced, proper white guy made a deal with the devil. And we've always seen Man Thing as this access to power that's a curse, but it's actually a punishment, not a curse. And
Mhm.
here they're given an opportunity to set that right by not flipping that script initially. He is not the victim of something, but rather the arbiter of his own incident. And
Mhm.
by putting that onus on her from day one, I feel as though they were able to make a commentary that it's completely fine to be a straight white male hero. There's nothing wrong with being a white woman of power that is a hero or a villain or whatever, but there is something wrong with narrative storytelling that places the prejudice against characters that represent minorities and a lack of repercussions for white, straight, cis, heteronormative characters.
See, I just saw it as a white woman who wanted to get into some closed practices and got told no and therefore wanted to bitch and whine about it.
Okay, that was definitely my white read on it, and yours is better. I like yours.
Like both
both,
fit. Both
both are
absolutely fit. That's the whole
both are
thing.
valid. Yeah, both are valid. Both are actually absolutely correct. Which brings you even to the next point is when we even go back to the Avengers, most of the heroes are white and male. But fortunately, I mean, we still do get 3 black men as on the cover of seeing, when you go to Brooklyn, Sydney, Manhattan, and London, we still get some people of color on here, which is a nice little change. I mean, they're men. They're not women or non-binary or anything like that. But we're moving, I feel like, in a little bit of another direction because we get Miles here, we get Blade here, which are usually not here. We usually only get, Iron Man, Black Panther, Captain America, and Thor, maybe Spider-Man. That's about it.
I just noticed that I know this is jumping ahead just a touch, but in that Brooklyn to Manhattan scene, in Brooklyn you see She-Hulk or Hulk, I should say, just jumping off into the distance, and in Manhattan you see her landing.
Yeah, that was a nice
Oh,
touch.
damn. I didn't even notice
I was
that.
like, oh, that's how she got across town. That makes way more sense now.
That's a big
I
ass
don't
jump.
understand how I didn't like put those two together. I'm like, how does she keep hopping between? Oh, she's literally hopping between these two places. Duh. I'm
That's Steve
pretty.
Orlando's bread and butter. He loves like little moments of synchronicity like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's just such a small touch writer, like
Talking about this book, I was really excited for Steve Orlando to come to Marvel because he is very cohesive in his writing and he likes to put these like pinpoints together or this flowiness together. Because as you can see, I mean, this 3-issue event really flowed together, like I'm saying before, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
really cohesive and it gets all the characters' voices correctly. Even if they say like 2 lines, like that's that character. You know that character. You see that line, be like, oh, that's probably Miles or somebody like that. Like I love when writers get that because it is hard to get all these people together. Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of fucking characters in this story, especially this one, because then with the next few pages we go to Krakoa, and that's the Quiet Council is huge personalities that take a while to get known for who they are, and if you don't get it right, X Twitter's gonna come for you. So.
Oh yeah. No, I do like how many characters they have had, and yet they've still been able to keep the tone of each character pretty well within that character's normal range. So you're not going like, that really doesn't sound like every single character is like, oh no, damn, nope, that's good, and they're even able to switch between different things like the Avengers and Krakoa and whatnot, and it still feels like they got the essence of the characters correct, which is lovely.
I agree with that because, especially with like the Avengers, like even though they were more of a focus in the first issue, we got little glimpses in the second and now in this one. And I like how it's not really a type of thing where it's like, oh, we saw them for like a minute and we're just gonna assume that they're up to something.
Right.
And but what I like is that they're not doing, or that's not happening, and we're able to see once in a while references of them, or not references. Y'all get what I mean.
Yeah. And little snippets of what they're still doing.
That was the word I was looking for.
And I think the thing that's so important to remember is like, my Thor is not your Thor is not my Thor. And my Iron Man is not your Iron Man, and your Iron Man is not my Iron Man. We all have versions of these characters we love a little bit more. My favorite Thor kind of makes fun of himself a little bit. Like, if he doesn't say things like, and by the hammer, I mean my penis. It's not my Thor, you know what I mean? And when you're talking about a character like Exodus, there's really just crazy zealot! And there's not a whole lot of other character to him. But when you're talking about magic, I bet the four of us each have a different version of Ileana that means the most to us. And he managed to play that sort of general voice that was still specific enough. And it, like, I kind of hope he gets an X book now. You know, not that I don't hope he gets a Man Thing book, but I don't think I need a Man Thing book the way.
Oh, you'd be amazed what you need in a Man Thing book.
I just made a very sassy face for you. And I think I would be really excited to see Steve Orlando tackle some of the, and I mean this with love, dumber mutants. Like that way that Gail Simone came on one day and said, I'm going to make Catman cool.
Yeah.
Right?
I would really love that concept of him doing that. That would work really well.
Exactly. He's got the voice for it. He's got the attitude for it. It would be a little bit of character rehab, a little bit of humorous redemption. And if I know my Steve Orlando, lots of butts.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm so okay with that.
And that's a good idea, because for him taking over like a more obscure, or like, Steve Orlando would be really good at taking obscure X-Men characters and getting people to really fall in love with them. Because to be honest, I really did not read a damn thing with Man Thing before this, and now I really adore the character. Like before, I just assumed that he was some character that just swam around in a swamp like an alligator.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Okay, I love Alligator Man, transdimensional swamp loser. Oh my god, you've killed me. Okay,
but now
Alligator
I feel
Man,
like
the
reading
transdimensional swamp
this,
loser is the best hero ever.
Oh my
but
God.
now reading this, I see him more as a character that could just make little bubbles in a swamp.
I love that approach, like biomes of universe. Like, I really get that. So you had never read Man Thing before? That's really cool, and you liked it, and like this like made him for you.
Yeah, and because the first issue, I really liked how he included that little like origin type of thing, because it really helped give me an idea of his story. Because other than that, I had no clue what the fuck he was about, really.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Steve Orlando did a really good job of revamping this character. I mean, Marvel's been doing that a lot lately, giving these writers we don't really know, or don't really know from Marvel at least, giving them a character and then them revamping that character and then us loving that character now. Be like, oh, this is one of our favorite characters now. We love it. We love all of them. So I think Man Thing is maybe becoming one of them. I mean, we might see him more after this. We might not. Don't really know. We don't know all of Marvel's plans. But if we do, I would like to see Steve Orlando write it, because I mean, he already did a great job.
I absolutely, like, I knew Man Thing before this. I had read some of the old school Man Thing, and I mean, it was a decent character. It was a decent comic book and everything, but not something that would really catch my attention. But reading this event, this crossover event, I've had so much fun and really gotten so much more out of these comic books than I did previous comic books. So I am very happy this happened. And I can't wait to like read the entire run, because it's so good.
Yeah. Speaking of things that I love happening, I know it's only one page, and that's all we really needed. But of the Client Council, I love every pages we get of the Client Council, because those are so magical moments. Not really what writer writes it, but some writers really get them down. And I feel like this is a moment where we're just like, you know what? Let's just leave the humans to die. Who gives a shit? And then they're like, no, but we have to save the humans. And then also it's like, well, we live on the earth too, and if we don't have the humans, we don't have the bees, like Storm says, then like we're all gonna die too. So stop being stupid. We have to save everything.
So
yeah, well, and she's right.
You guys have been looking at the bigger picture of the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that struck me about the positioning of this miniseries is specifically that it went to the Avengers, who are now hopping over to Heroes Reborn straight from the Phoenix arc, which did see things like Man-Thing return to the pages, and Ghost Rider, and all of these major characters were so focused in this major period in Avengers. And now we've jumped over to the X-Men, who are about to have the Hellfire Gala, and there's a lot of expectation about whether or not it's possible that this is going to be something that perhaps puts the X-Men on the outs with the Marvel Universe. How do you guys feel as a team about Man-Thing being positioned as sort of like a thread that you might be able to follow into this return to multiversity through multi-line exploration?
I love it. Honestly, I love it. Mostly because so many people just think of Man-Thing as being the competitors, oh, everybody knows Swamp Thing. Oh, okay, so Man-Thing must be like Swamp Thing. And nobody really thinks about it too much more. Whereas what they seem to forget is Man-Thing is technically a god of a swamp. He's been cursed by his own freaking doing, and boy does he get whiny about that shit. But he now has to, as both penance and for protection, guard a spot that is weak in the multiverse. Basically, it's thin enough that it has doorways back and forth in between. So of course you need somebody there to guard that spot like you would any other spot. I mean, Saturnine guards her crystal tower and, rules over the multiverses from that area. Jamie Braddock has a lot of power and can affect the different multiverses. Doctor Strange, he goes through the multiverses. So everybody needs to do their part, as it were, and he's part of that. So it's great because now you see that no matter where you go in this universe, you still have ties to other potential universes, and the world is not as small or simple or easily captivated in one small sphere. And it's just showing you, no. See, Doctor Strange can go anywhere. You got Saturnine, that goes anywhere. And you've got all these different weak spots all over the universe, and slowly I think that's going to take us into space, which is going to be so cool.
Piggyback off that, I feel like, I agree with everything you said, and I feel like this gets a moment to introduce new characters to new situations. Because like a lot of you, like people like Robbie, they didn't know anything like for Man-Thing, and like they were like, oh, he's just an alligator that swims in a swamp. So it's you didn't, they didn't know that Man-Thing guarded some of the multiverse and the Nexus and all of that. And now that we have this this point of direction, it's like showing people this in the new light, in a new generation, and it's like, well, now we got the Harrower, and she can become something with the veggie grandmas, and like horticulture, and like we could even get more people like that. And like you said, with Doctor Strange and Saturnine, what if Man-Thing's at that table now too? And then we go to space, and now we get somebody else that's at that multiverse table. And then what if we have a multiverse event, and they're all there, and all this because these little strings are being pulled right now, so all this can go into motion. Like that's what Marvel loves to do, is pull these little strings, especially if it's dealing with the X-Men and all these other big characters like Avengers. They're doing this for a reason to go somewhere. I hope. So sometimes it doesn't land in the right spot, but I'm hoping that it's going to land in this spot because it could be really fantastic. Multiverse shit is so good. Look at the Secret Wars event that happened in Hickman 2015. That's still one of my favorite all-time events because it was done so well. It has so many woke points that gave birth to so many other things. This is what that could do.
Well, and also going back to X of Swords, they gave us this beautiful little taste of all the different realms. I'm just like, need more, thank you. Give more. So I'm hoping that this is opening it up for maybe some cool multiverse event type stuff. I'm just hoping, please, just a little bit. I just need to see Cap in a couple of different outfits, most of them without pants, but...
What I really love about all these threads of connections between the different groups of characters is that it feels, the way it's written and set up, it feels very like natural, and it doesn't feel like something that was pulled out of their ass just for the sake of, oh, here's a random connection. Like, it feels natural to the storyline. And what I really do like about this little 3-issue like mini series is that connecting so many characters in, say, certain events, sometimes they just feel like characters randomly appear there out of convenience to sell the story. But this never gave me that feeling, where it feels like these characters were meant to appear for the sake of growing Man-Thing's story, not for some coin.
Definitely. And I feel like they did that even more towards the end of this chapter 7, is when, the whole conversation with the Doctor and Magic, and they're revamping basically, Man-Thing's story, saying he had a deal with Velasco. So I like this little revamp of him telling his story to Magic, or Magic kind of telling it back to him. And it really shows how well I feel like Ileana Spruten has grown, because she's like, I'm going to give you a choice to fix this. It has to be your choice, but I'm not just going to leave you to the dogs or just doom your soul. You can fix this, so I'm going to help you, because you got a wrong deal. I mean, it was your choice, you did it, but like kind of got led to the slaughter, so I'm going to help.
But I love how she still speaks as the ruler of Limbo. She still speaks like a devil. She's like, oh yeah, you got a raw deal. I guess we could renegotiate. I mean, she rakes him over the coals. Like, she makes him admit to himself that he fucked up, that he was the one that made the raw deal, that he was the one who went the quick and easy route instead of, sticking with it. All because, you didn't want to let your wife down. All because you just couldn't stick with it. You were so worried about, impressing these big head honchos. And like, damn girl, could you throw just a little less shade, or give the man a mint julep to sit in it? Because fuck, like, seriously. Like, oh man, she was so good at that. And I also like the fact that she says, look, I'm almost old enough to rent a car now. I'm like, meaning she's like 23, 24-ish.
Oh my god, but did everybody find it really hot when she was like, where's my sword? And like, I thought there was something, because like, I feel like Magic from the 80s would have been like, I'm burning you to death now! Right? Like, she would have gone like full on Peridot, and she would have been like, I'm gonna hurt you, you clod! But like, instead, she was just like, where my sword at? And the dog pound wasn't there to tell her, so...
She's
but I love the
evolved
fact that
as
she
a
had
character.
zero fear of getting sucked into Man-Thing's dreadscape. She's like, okay, game, I'll play. I'm like,
That's
wow,
the Ileana
zero
that I
fear right
love,
there.
that she really does not fear shit.
I mean, especially not now, when she could just be reborn. So she didn't really fear anything before, but now, why should she at all?
Right.
So, but that brings us to chapter 8, which is Adapt or Die. So, even though the X-Men can't die, but let's see who else. A lot of other people can die. So, we have to save the humans, which gives us, Storm's coming to save the day with Thor and like block the sun and do all this other shit. And the Doctor's like, I should help. And here comes the Dark Riders, the not B team, like
no, there's
D team?
specific. No, there's specifically one of the more violent sets of teams that Ilya herself has assembled.
Yeah.
And she knows that they're the kind that can just absolutely thrash an entire city block. So she's basically going, I need somebody I can just kind of let off the chain to do their thing.
Rod just uncovered a secret that I've never thought about before, and now language is ruined for me.
Well, because I mean, you have Forearm, you have Max Mammoth, Shark Girl, Marrow, and Wolf Cub. I'm like, okay, this is hack and slash. I love it.
Oh yeah, I mean, and to the listeners who don't, I mean, we all know who Shark Girl and Marrow is. We just saw, if you haven't seen him before, we just saw Forearm and Sword. But the last time we saw Mammoth and Wolf Cub, I mean, we didn't know they were reborn yet. because Wolf Cub died in Young X-Men,
Oh,
and then yeah, I know. That's when the last time we saw him because he was dead, but now he's reborn.
that was
And
a
then
million
Max,
years ago. Damn.
It was. And then Memo Max died. His death was confirmed in New X-Men. He's killed by Predator X. That really monstrous thing.
Couple of things about that, because I love everything you just said because you're so smart. Number one, killing. So Young X-Men is like the X book that no one remembers because it was sort of like really self-contained. It gave us Grey Malkin, which I guess I always needed an underground mole vampire gay mutant.
I mean,
Are they going to throw a rave? Because at that point, I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh my god, I would love it if he had like some sort of light up grill and like threw a rave. Like that would be so hot. Anyway, so Young X-Men, sort of the teen book that everybody forgets. I thank you for reminding me that Memo Max had an appearance after the Chuck Austin run. I only remembered his appearance in the Chuck Austin Brotherhood arc. I had completely forgotten that he ultimately did perish at the hands of Predator X. What a great call. And yeah, I think the thing that had me the most pleased about this team, no one's normal looking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's something we have all been begging for, especially Robbie in the age of like that was one of the first things, one of your first episodes, one of the first things I ever edited was you being like, I just wish mutants looked like mutants again. And I was like, let mutants look like mutants, yes. And so like I was really thrilled by that.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I love the fact that nobody was fancy and cute and brightly colored. It's like, oh goody, we get to go out and just make things die.
Exactly. And I mean, people love Meryl, as we saw with the X-Men election and everything. People want her in a team. So I'm like, why don't we have the Dark Riders as a book? At least, like, we can have Hellions, we have Marauders and all that. Why can't we have the Dark Riders? At least for like a mini or something. It doesn't have to be ongoing.
A backup story of Hellions.
Cool. There we go. Like, DC's doing backup stories in main books. Why can't Marvel?
Backup. Not everything needs to be 22 fucking pages. Some things are just better at 8. Sorry about it. I have friends that I would rather only see for 8 minutes a day, if you know what I mean. So some stories are better at 8 fucking pages.
I mean, you're absolutely right. We didn't see this team that long in this book, and it was the perfect amount, honestly.
Honestly, we have covered stories that were 8 pages long that were phenomenally done. In Women of Marvel, in Indigenous Voices, a couple others that we've reviewed. There have been slightly longer stories that were roughly 6 to 8 pages, and they were phenomenally well done. It just depends on who you have writing it and who's putting your story together.
It's the Hemingway joke. What's the shortest sad story in the world? It's only 6 words long. For sale. Baby shoes. Never worn.
Oh, ouch. Ouch. Yeah, true enough.
I do love that one splash page when they're all like with Man-Thing and they're all just like I feel like everyone gets a good, and they're not in this book a lot, but they all get a good like artistic spotlight in this book. All the Dark Riders.
I love that. You want in, lady? There's a toll to play. In blood! It was so good. It was honestly so good. I loved it.
It's nice to see Shark Girl doing something because we always just see her in the background. She's not really, she's just kind of like says like a nice like compliment or a snarky compliment or
she's
comment,
always getting sidelined for Lava Boy.
Fuck me.
I never saw that movie. I did see the other movie that was based on that though, the second one, with the other little heroes.
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. And honestly, like, I don't know much about Shark Girl because she is usually kind of just background character. But in this, we all got to hear them talk with all their, like, oh God, reminiscence of, like, 1990s banter.
Yeah.
I loved it, though. I just absolutely loved it. Oh, I'm an elephant, not a slob. I don't empty my stomach for just anyone. I'm like, oh, why?
I love Memo Max. I want more of him. I really enjoyed Memo Max in this whole issue. I was like, I want more of this mutant. He's fun.
Oh yeah. No, I wanted more of all of them, honestly. But yeah, like they fit so well in the roles that they were given. Like I just wanted more of them. Just more, please, more.
I do wonder if
go ahead,
I
Robbie.
do wonder if Shark Girl and Hellion are still dating or not.
I hoped, but it doesn't seem like I actually, because when you guys said you wanted more of them, I went to the website that has all of their appearances. like all of the characters' appearances, and I'm sending you guys the list of all of the appearances, but it doesn't look like she's appeared in much with him in several years, unfortunately.
God damn it.
Well, maybe she's looking for a new
One
guy.
day.
Robbie, I want to ask you, in these Dark Riders, which one really stood out to you? Which one was like your favorite out of the 5? I guess 6 is
Okay.
Magic, but we all love her. So
I'll probably in this issue particular, because I always did like Shark Girl a lot and like the minor little appearances that she made. But I will say Marrow stuck out because it's not every day you get a Marrow appearance. And you know, I'll never forget my first introduction to Marrow. Back when I was a kid, I was playing X-Men Legends, and that was the first time I've ever seen Marrow before. And so like you know, ever since then I've always wondered why she hasn't appeared in more, because like as a kid she hit like, you know, she was kind of like one of the first, like she was kind of my first lens into the Morlocks that I ever really had. So okay, tying this back to this story though. Didn't mean to get that off tangent, but I really liked, you know, getting like more than like a page with her. Like it felt nice seeing like different moments with Marrow. And I really do hope that this shows that, you know, the current writers have more plans going forward with her. You know, the other characters would be nice too, I guess. But Marrow would be really nice.
It's the personality that Marrow puts across. Visually, she's, you know, she looks more or less normal. Yeah, she's got the bone protrusions, but her attitude is so caustic at points. And
I think
so,
it makes the bones worse.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like it the way she comes at things, it kind of amplifies some of the dissettling parts of her. But at the same point in time, when she is genuinely nice, and there are those narrow moments that she is genuinely nice, you're like, oh, you still got all those bones, but okay.
Whereas Glob just looks like somebody forgot to finish baking the muffins.
Right, just put on that outside coat.
Yeah.
Like,
He's
put the
just
frosting on the cupcake.
He's
Yeah.
gooey cuteness.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they made him not hateful anymore, he was a very enjoyable character. So.
Brian Ed Xavier's remains my all-time favorite comic book ever, and it will never change. It's the most perfect 5 issues of anything ever. So every character in it will forever be one of my favorites ever, no matter what Quentin Quire is my favorite.
He's a fun character.
He's
liked
a
him.
fuck boy, but I love him.
He's a fuck boy. He's a fuck boy who's a virgin.
Right.
He's a virgin who can't drive.
He probably can't. Back to the very
Man thing taking care of Harriet.
I know, like Harriet's getting her ass kicked. So she gets absorbed into Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing's like, get in my body. And it's a little, he doesn't ask consent, but you know, she did kill him. So she kind of has it coming. So she gets into his dreamy hellscape mindscape. And we see zombie versions of her family, which is super fucking creepy. I think this is the creepiest moment, probably in the whole 3 issues, for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that's what her ass gets for causing that little invasion around the planet. That is full-on karma. She should have got worse.
I mean, a lot of people did die because of her, so yeah.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of, like, it's never okay to be, like, a bad dude, but, like, if you're, like, running around destroying the world, and somebody breaks your foot to stop you, you know, she's trying to mess with the nexus of realities. If someone's got to show her some zombie parents, I mean, it's just kind of what it is.
Well, it's not that he even has to show her zombie parents. He is showing her the thing she fears. That's why he is the ruler of the Dreadscape. You have fear, he knows it. And he's gonna put you through hell, quite literally.
And I love that name for it, the Dreadscape. I'm just like, ooh, scary.
Oh, I loved it.
Scare me, big man. Like, I'm just like, I just love Dreadscape.
Here's your dead father who took you into the woods because you didn't want to be a part of society, and now you're mad because he got caught in a wildfire and died, and your dumbass didn't somehow.
Well, she set the fire, so of course she didn't die.
Yeah, right.
But
and added everybody. Let me burn down my own house with my parent in it. Oh, dumbass.
We get to that point by going into the chapter 9 called New Growth. We're showing, I guess, not her new growth, because she doesn't learn anything. She might learn something later when she gets written again, but right now,
no, she is pinnacle fragile white woman in that she refuses to learn anything, no matter who is speaking to her.
I'm the Karener. I'm here to Karen you. Karen chop.
Now, one of my favorite pages of this is right after the beginning of chapter 9. It has so many good things on this page because it's Storm and Thor working together, which I love. My two favorites. I'm very biased. I love them together.
Yes, please.
He can leave She-Hulk and go with Storm.
I'm just saying.
I know.
I'm just saying.
You know what? She deserves. Anyway, I'm not even gonna get that.
She deserves better than T'Challa, and guess what's better than T'Challa? Oh God.
I mean, unfortunately, he's presented as white, but it's okay. It's fine. He's not really white.
Let the swirl happen, damn you.
I'm a swirl. Good things happen from swirls. But speaking of Wakanda, then the Dora Milaje is there as well. And I'm like, yay, Dora Milaje looking fabulous. But then we get this, I don't know. I want to know how y'all feel about this. I ship them now with Ileana and Robbie Reyes.
I love how inappropriate she was with him.
She's like, you have to keep your fire on. I'm like, I love it. I want this.
So, okay, I'm so, like, if Marvel gave me any one character, I just want it to be Robbie Reyes. He is my dream to write so badly. And, Carrie Harris has this amazing upcoming Johnny Blaze novel. And so it's just great to see that the Ghost Rider IP is so powerfully alive at Marvel. And to see him here made me, I've got my Robbie Reyes cosplay ready for when cons resume later this year. And I'm so excited about it. And I like the idea of Robbie Reyes being with any woman who's likely to peg him. So
yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So we get more of Harriet, the white woman who needs validation, and her dream hellscape. And her demon zombie dad is like, nah, you are like reliving the torture that you did to all of us, and now you're gonna burn into like the dimension of wherever she goes. She goes somewhere. We don't know where she goes, but she falls. She's gone until the end of the book, and we see her. But
Well, yeah, no, she was remember the dreadscape is whatever your worst nightmare is. She's in the dreadscape the entire time that she is having that meltdown and talking with the grandmothers from horticulture and everything like that. And yeah, he's finding a way to basically set her ass on fire.
Yeah. I was like, oh, yay, good. Burn the witch. She's not really even a witch, though. She's like
no, she mixed
amateur
science,
magician.
Yeah, she mixed science and magic together, much in the same way that Man-Thing mixed science and magic together.
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, she all on fire, and even though she's in a frickin' swamp. And if anybody had ever told her to stop, drop, and roll, well, she absolutely forgot that part of it as she's standing in ankle-deep water and not able to put out the fire with the water all around her. Instead, she's screaming at her stupid ferns.
But that even kind of speaks to the heart of the character's folly inherently. She was always looking for things she didn't need, but rather things she perceived would make her life better. So rather than extinguish the flame burning her, she's more eager to blame someone else than deal with what's actually causing her suffering. I mean, it really goes back to the heart of what we were saying at the beginning of the issue, where she is like, this sort of deceptive folly personified.
Exactly. Yeah, it literally is. Because she's screaming at the ferns to put her out, and like literally everybody's just kind of looking at her like, why don't you do it for yourself? Like,
just burn, bitch. Just burn.
Right. It's like, go ahead, just burn. We're gonna wait here, see if you figure this one out. I still love Shark Girl's parting comment on all that.
I know.
The only thing we've got up here is soldier soup. I've got some on me. I got a lot on me.
I want them together again. I want this team back together. I mean, I feel like we're all biased because mutants and shit. So we love mutants. But I want them back together. I hope we do. I hope Marvel is like, oh, this is a gem. We should do it again.
Yeah. I honestly think that they deserve more appearances. And maybe as time goes on, they will prove well enough rounded out to have their own book. But at the very least, I would love to see them in more appearances.
I do love at the end of that page that T'Challa is basically just like, and this is a common theme with spider people, especially the spider men. It's just like, I wish y'all would just shut the fuck up. It's like, I hope, and he says it in such a classy way, as T'Challa does, a dramatic, classy ass way. He's like, in glory to Bast, that these charms are closing faster than your mouths. Like, I love that. It's a little burn to the Spider-Men because they don't shut up. Neither one of them, Peter or Miles.
Or Gwenpool or any of them. Right? They just.
Even Jessica Drew just doesn't shut up. I love Jessica Drew, but she don't shut up either. I think if you just get the spider thing, it's like part of your mouth can't stop.
Hey guys, if you like that cut from X's4 Podcast, you'll be sure to like some of our other materials. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out these other amazing videos here at X's4 Podcast.